Chime Kimbe Wongbo Jambe Debo Mali Jomze Sawe Kanje Kebe Zoje Zonga Lozan Tabe Shabla Sowa Meme Zebe Dejin Jere Se Chime Kim Debo Mali Jomze Sabe Da Kanje Kebe Zoje Zonga Lozan Tabe Shala Sowa De Pande Zave Lama Rimbo Taso Jivur Bende Densho Kadi Chimbi Kone Cheso Kuzo Toji Mudu Zedo Pande Zave Lama Rimbo Taso Ningara Bende Densho Kadi Chimbi Kone Chodan Temo Mudu Zedo Pande Zave Lama Rimbo Taso Ningara Bende Densho Kadi Chimbi Kone Changju Ningbi Demonju Masan Jume Shira Baru Maje Manga Namge Ngobu Soso Rani Ishe Juyu Desu Chanze Lo Deyan Ta Gade Bara Gade Bara Samgade Bodhi Yeso Ha Deyan Ta Gade Bara Bara Samgade Bodhi Yeso Ha Deyan Ta Gade Bara Sangade Bodhi So Gere Songda Jaju Xie Da Mede Nebe Jenda Peso Soju Ne Daji Ayo Sa Xie Chujurun Jibe Sonam Jien Dola Benje Sanjen Dubara Sho Cheda Zoje Chonan Lo Nanjo Bazo Danin Jazo Dola Benje Sanjen Dubara Cheda Zoje Chonan Lo Janjo Bazo Danin Jazo Dagi Chujurun Jibe Sonam Jien Lola Benje Sanjen Dubara Sho
Toşallar nama yanda bu doğusu iyi koboru bu şey diyor tavaş. Tiyeci de tabii şey sayın be. Kulun şarjısı ceması yüzde de istemir.
let's take a moment and cultivate the highest form of motivation. We call it Bodhisattva motivation, or the altruistic motivation seeking complete enlightenment for the sake of all other sentient beings. And with that kind of at least contrived bodhicitta altruistic motivation, we should participate in this discourse. So where we left off last time in this text is the etymological explanation of the two truths.
Somebody needs it, Shiva, couldn't Jeba the Juba, on the Shiva was. What is the Kuzo Deva said, Chilshi, Yakuzo the Deva Kakashi, she's in ease or the Tiwada.
So the two truths are Kunzop Themba, normally we translate as conventional truth or reality, and Tyondam Themba, ultimate reality. When we look at the Tibetan translation of the Sanskrit term, Samvit Satya, just to get the etymological explanation, it's more based on that Sanskrit term, which I think in English I translate as deceptive truth. Okay? So etymologically speaking, a vase or a pot, pumbaa, for instance, is an example of deceptive truth, samvritti satya, because that truth is posited from the subjective perspective of grasping at true existence or intrinsic existence. Yeah. So conventionalities can be divided into two, object and subject, right? Subject meaning perception. And here, if we go with one of the meanings of Sanskrit term, samvritti satya, it has the sense of obscuration, something that obscures, right? And grasping a true existence obscures our mind from seeing the ultimate nature of phenomena, right? So from that point of view, conventional, that grasping at true existence perception is an obscuration, right? That obscures our mind from seeing the ultimate reality as it is. But that term also has the meaning of conventionality, tanye in Tibetan, conventional terms, or sometimes it might also have a sense of false, zunba. Yeah? So we can look at the conventional reality together. There are two words, right? Conventional reality or deceptive reality or truth, right? So we take them together as one, and that is posited from the subjective perception of grasping at true existence. Now we might split up the term into deceptive and truth, right? And that deceptive part, as we said, has one of the sense is the obscuration, right? That which obscures our mind.
Tenzin or Demba Shaweda. They Jahido Zo, the good of the Tenzin Shan, Ting or Demba is a Tenzin Sharma. She doesn't show it on the Demachia Yomarwa.
No.
Or take look good of the Tenzin or the Demba Shar. They doesn't Jahia Zo, the Tenzin or Demba in the good of Demba Shar is.
No.
What is it?
So in sixth cell, clear word commentary, we find the three meanings of the Sanskrit term samvitti satya, and so samvitti satya, number one meaning, as we said, means obscuration, that which obscures, and it also means conventionality or names or labels, Ming or Tanya in Tibetan, and then it also means Jimba, that which is not true, untrue or false. Yeah. But of these three meanings of the term samvitti satya, when we talk about etymological meaning of deceptive truth, then that meaning, obscuration, is the primary meaning, right? The obscuration refers to the subjective mind of grasping at true existence. We know that nothing exists truly, but there is grasping at true existence. So that grasping obscures our mind from seeing the truth as it is. So it is for that subjective mind, conventional reality, such as ways, is a deceptive truth, right? It is called deceptive truth because it's a truth for that particular subjective mind. So that's the main meaning of samvitti satya from etymological point of view.
What did Dakarsa the Demakiba Dadon Suzo Kuzo no Shuan the Denzing or Demasar Zita Dema Maris. So do Tishivari. Dembasi, Denzing or Demasar Kuzo Dembasimo, Kuzo de Demato and Marua. Then the law down Tony less. Tinjil law then Demba Joy Tony with Demba was. This is the Kuzo Demba, Kuzo where they must do loud. Six of the Dembas Lama Tondala and Denzing what they was the Dema Marisi was car share.
So our vase, for example, is called deceptive truth or conventional truth. It's only called truth because it exists as deceptive truth for that obscurative mind called grasping at true existence. Because in reality, our vase is not a truth. It does not exist truly. It's only truth as a truly existent, if you call it a thing, for that particular perception, right? So that is just an etymological explanation of the term deceptiveness or deceptive reality or truth.
What is that? You come to the Oman Juba Chango. Today, Juba, Demura, he did Kuzo de Gajama de Manandi. Kuzo de she Tibati song de Sheda. Rangele, Juba Rangele. You must change Maripe on the Kuzo de number Shago. She song said. She so dear Kuzo Geshe Gyeltsen. Kuzo Geshe Gyeltsen, but they are in so the Kuzoba Kango, Dember Jog base. Gyeltsen goes on, you know. Won't you did tea more Dematami? Dematami in say Kuzo Dembe, Jomugoti. Shuni down. Dani tabu. Shuni dance. Dani tabu. Kuzo Demba Shebe. Susu Kuzo Demba Shit. Kuzo Denzin Maribado. Tani Demba Shebe. 스스로의 당연히 군섭 내봐 탐제라 탐제라 거쳐고 싫으시 캡체 중요도 없이 군섭 내봐 해야 되다 그래서 됐습니다 인지다 안지를 좀 이제 군섭 내봐 믿어 쉬이다 이제 다니다 쉬이서는 거 동의듯이 다니서는 미게데 봐 최기다 가서 다세 가제다 어디 최기 다니 더비우스 이제 더보 어디 데레스 인생 뭐 되면 데레스 이제 고고자 되버리고 말아 어디요 고자 되버 시베스 스스 고자니 인지 말을 봐도 당에 되버 시베 스스로의 당연히 구조되면 탐지가 고쇼비 캡슐이어도 어디가 다니다부터 구조되면 힘이 스스로의 구조 인지 말을 봐도 이리스 당에 되면서 용해되다 시원은 내반이 힘에 스스로의 당연히 구조되면 탐지라 고쇼비 캡슐이어도 그거 대마지면 구조자 지도 구조되면 아니 캡슐이어리스 지도 구조자 주다 사지 쉬어 가지고 다 그거 대마지 구조자 된질만 주고 말아 세다 그거 대마지 구조다 지도 구조 캡슐이어리스 지도 구조 캡슐이어리스 어디서
So in the fundamental, in the supplement to the middle way, Madhyamik Avatar, and the auto commentary, so this whole explanation of what we just talked about, and where there is a statement which says, Thimo Rangshin Trip the Kunzopte. So ignorance, it obscures the nature Rangshin, so therefore it is deceptive, right? And so as Geshe said, that from etymological point of view, a vase is called a deceptive truth because it exists as a truth for the subjective mind of grasping at true existence. And that subjective mind obscures our mind from seeing the nature of the truth as it is, right? That's an etymological explanation of the term. So that grasping is a conventional reality, right? But conventional reality truth is more pervasive, right? Conventional reality has everything that exists, basically, mostly, right? Whereas that grasping is just one particular case, which is called deceptive here. And as Geshe explained, that something can be deceptive, but not necessarily deceptive truth per se. For example, when we talk about the two selflessness of a person and selflessness phenomena, to be able to understand them, we have to have a clear understanding of the two selves, which are negated or refuted, isn't it? The self of a person and self of phenomena. These two selves are deceptive, but these are not deceptive truths. Yeah, these are not conventional realities. But whereas when we say conventional reality truth is something that exists, right? These two selves do not exist, right? Yet we have to refute them to understand the ultimate reality.
대신도 군소 대바시에 군소다. 군소도 유해제외 군소니 명장 도움이 되겠어. 군소도 유해세야다 법학가와서 탐제시. 군소 덴바세디 거 덴세 덴지죠 저거로. 그래서 어디 캡슐이오자. 캡슐이 그래서 군소니 명장 도움이 되게 Mama Tenzin Dorjee la Shade, Kunzo Chu no Kunzo ba Ti, Kunzo ba Tenzin Dorjee go Debe Kunzo Deba Shiro. Shima Kunzo Geshe Lo Sama la Shade, Kunzo Geshe Seme Yevani Kunzo Yevashi Shebe Shiro. Jidoya 도저히 로이니도 타이르 세명이도 해주로. 그래서 근데 고자 대화사 타이르 세명이도 되라. 디도도 고자 대화. 도저히 세명이도 아니 도저 거자. 대도 도저 대화 소시시로. 어디서 가자. 군저 주시 세명 이거 고자 집이 셔로 오세. 다 어디 다 도저 대화 대다도 고자 자기리. 통도 대배 대신에 오마랑주베 피지르지 통도 대배 담바시도 통좀 셰베세 담바시도 시베세 파베냐샤 이제도 통좀 셰바 디 위벌 셰네 유제니게 때문에 자시 예정 자 들텐주 노다 식세리 동양 디 자마에 디비 통다보 디니 비바이비 통담담보 해왔다 통도 잡았어 소설 캐드미 셰퍼 유기 때문에 시딘베 두아제네 저시 셰데 분배 신이다 보다 돈도 대비시지 주제요데 동아이 담바야이 렘바이베 대대지비 싫어 어디다 다다 런지바가 도도 대바다 세베 돈도 렘바이 가가지고 그랬어 그 돈사들 밥에 냠샤이지 돈이 오서도 냠샤이샤 렘바스도 냠샤이지 유디요 렘바스 렘바디 유젤 담바디 유젤 가샤리스 다 태교로지다 돈도 대바스도 드레 냠샤이지다 돈이 가샤 먹어샤 그런 시들셰니 돈이 거라 동아래 담바리 세다 돈도 대바스 유젤 거라 시들 자셰 이 돈이 거라 돈도 대바샤 뭐도 Bodhisattva Geshi Gyeltsen hidir için şevori. Ronjibe ene todo devası desate da todo nikah şedo.
Shartse diyoruz.
Da teyo jiwa şerisu hidir şevoro. Todo sınada devasını çık şevora.
So as we stated before, conventional, what we call truth or reality is a pervasive term, right? Everything that exists conventionally is called conventional truth in some sense, but from etymological point of view, that deceptive truth it refers more to the subjective mind of grasping at true existence. Something exists as truth for that mind, so that grasping at true existence is a particular case of conventional reality. Okay? So that's distinction. One is very narrow, one specific example, other is a broad term that includes everything that exists. But as Geshe explained, the way I want to translate is there is a difference between etymological explanation of the term samvritti satya or deceptive truth and the definition of a conventional truth, reality. Okay? So that's the etymological meaning we just talked about. But definition of a conventional truth is, we said, a phenomenon that is established through through examination by a conventional valid cognition. right? Something that's established, right, through examination by a conventional valid cognition is called conventional truth. That's why we know, right? How do things exist conventionally? We said there are conventional valid cognitions. They particularly deal with, analyze, examine conventional truths, and so they find them. So that is a definition of conventional truth, not the etymological explanation there. In the same way, definition of an ultimate truth, Paramartha Satya, by Tibetan, is that which is found by the valid cognition that analyzes that which is in ultimate reality. Okay? And so now from a Savatandika Madhyamika point of view, Umar Ranggyuba in Tibetan, so they explained that we said, hope it works in the English term, Tendam Temba, ultimate truth, right? The Tibetan word is Ten, which is translated as ultimate, and Temba is the truth. So from a Savatandika Madhyamika point of view, the ultimate actually refers to the subjective wisdom in the state of meditative equipoise, right, on ultimate reality. And the Temba truth refers to the object. Yeah? So they said something exists as ultimate reality for that particular wisdom in the state of deep meditation, right? So the ultimate or the Ten meaning, in other words, refers to the subjective wisdom, and the Temba, the truth, refers to the object, right? So that's how Savatandika Madhyamika split up the term and explain it. But from Prasangika Madhyamika points of view, they don't complicate this way. They said, both the term refers to the same thing. Okay? The example is emptiness. Emptiness is the ultimate. Emptiness is the truth, isn't it? So they said emptiness, for example, of a vase is both ultimate, that which is ultimate, and that which is truth. So therefore, it is ultimate truth. Okay? Is that coming out clearly? Okay. So that standpoint or the explanation of Savatandika Madhyamika, where they split the term ultimate truth, ultimate refers to the wisdom in the state of meditative equipoise, and the truth refers to the object. That is explained in a treatise called Umanangwa, which is the illumination of the middle way, Umanangwa in Tibetan. Whereas Prasangika Madhyamika say that ultimate truth refers to the same thing. Emptiness is both ultimate and the truth. So that explanation we find in Acharya Chandrakirti's clear word commentary, which is the commentary on the Nagarjuna's fundamental wisdom or Mulya Madhyamika. No.
제가 제가 동의인데 왜 중이다 왜 지금 이 동의 담보고 그 동의인데 추에 미실 담바인데 그 또가 다녀도 다도 인다 담바스 제가 동대바 니가 희딩이서 그만 요새 되게 대바인데 동대 대바고 시바다스 어다데 대바 인자 동대 대바 니가 이도 되게리스 도다바 소소 체니 메시버 유기 때문에 시대에 도안되니 저시 시대 담바이 이 담바이 베케 지비쇼 토인데 사도 지비 유기 니동이 비실 담바이데 니도타도 이비실 담바이데 능주의 니주 테비 능주의 니주 테비 무지 니주 테비 뭐가 이비실 능주의 지단 능주의 테마데 요마르와 이 바바 냠샤 이다고 쓰고다 동이 이 바바 냠샤다 니주 능주 니주 투고르와 어 티사네네 능주 그 추에 비실라고 어디에 쓰는가
So I think I just want to clarify that I think the English word ultimate, I don't think it captures the both Tibetan word ten tamba or the Sanskrit word paramartha, right? So that's, I think, maybe a little technical difficulty there to get the meaning of that, right? Because in the Tibetan, the term and the Sanskrit, we can explain. Para means meaning, ten, right? Tibetan. Paramartha means tamba, which is ultimate. You mean? But it's in the English word ultimate, we can't explain like that, right? And so that just we have to keep in our mind. And so as Geshe already explained, from Prasangika Madhyamika point of view, unlike Savatandaka Madhyamikans, they say that emptiness is shiti, means it is both that which is turn, meaning, and that which is ultimate, right? Tamba. So therefore, emptiness itself is called turn tamba. That's the Prasangika Madhyamikas are saying that. Okay. Savatandaka Madhyamikas, because earlier I translated, I said, they split up turn and tamba. That's in the English word, we don't have the word turn. So the meaning, right, they refers it, the turn tamba together refers to the subjective wisdom in the state of meditative equipoise and emptiness, and the truth I said refers to the object, or the tamba refers to the object. So the Tibetan word turn, literal translating meaning, it is the synonym with the che, phenomena or dharma, right? Anything that exists is called turn, meaning, and che, phenomenon. And in the case of ultimate truth or the reality, paramartha satya, in Tibetan, from the point of view of the wisdom in the state of meditative equipoise on emptiness, right? There is no duality, right, between the emptiness and the perceiver of emptiness, right? So that means you say there is no disparity between the object which is perceived and the perceiver, that wisdom, right? If you're out of that meditative state, then there is disparity, right? Things appear in one way, they exist in another way, right? So from that point of view also, one could say that ultimate is reality, so-called, because there is no such disparity, right, for that wisdom.
Tibetan Toai dem Tambai me don't debas. Also la Shantideva Cheva Yurista. Tanya de Debeton said Debatron Kavura. To Deba said that Toai Tambai the Shaza the Tetongo the Queen Debasa the Mingdana the Jomaris. Mama Chu the New Trouble, New Zealand Trouble, New Zealand Troubles. Dover doesn't mind what I call it. There are tired dear Yaba, dear Michelle Jings, Devasana, Tenjoshi. Chima Miloa, Jola Tena, no need to be sure none the tiny to you shadows. So that Shima Miloa Jola, then no need to be sure none the. The just showing none of them carol.
No.
This was the Papa Nyamsha, no, the Niji to me, Nyamsha, Walla, no need to my inside. Take a cigarette. She's not showing none of them carol.
No.
This one.
No. So, as Krishna read from the text and explained, that there is a distinction we have to keep in our mind between true and the truly existent, true existence that's being refuted, right? When we say that things are empty of true existence, there is the word true, right? It's almost like truth is coming here. And ultimate truth, that truth, right? There's a big difference, right? True existence is something that doesn't exist at all. You know, things do appear to us as truly existent, but that true or the truth is really not there at all. Whereas truth in the ultimate truth is something that exists because it's something we can realize, right, validly, right? So it's not a non-existent. So we have to understand that distinction there. And again, as Krishna just repeated his explanation, in general, that phenomena, you know, they appear to us as dualistic, isn't it? They appear to us in one way, but they exist in another way. That's the case with any phenomenon, right? Nang ne mithimba. Nang means appear. Ne means the way they exist. Mithimba means there is a disparity, right? Discord there. But then here we are talking about nang ne timba. There is a parity, if you will, between appearance and the way it exists. So only that is possible, as we said before, for that wisdom in the deep meditation on emptiness. For that wisdom, right, emptiness, right, emptiness is the object of that wisdom. And so the way emptiness, if you will, appears to that wisdom, and the way that wisdom perceives the emptiness is non-dualistically. So there is no disparity, right? Only that in that condition, okay, not in general. Yes.
That gave it the New Machive Yevani. Tondo Demba, Shona Dendrop, to Shona Dendrop, to Yeva Heavy, Rodoji, Dangela, Dene, only Tondo Demba, Machina, Siva Le, True Tava Munition. Then the good on the maybe Dembe. Good on the young, never came base. Good day, Daniel again. Lende, joke to Machina, Yendro, Dungele, True, Tudaya, Tominute, Sashele. Conda Demba di number Mishiba. Teda. Sanje Demba ye, Samuti, Namishi, Shadam Jukbar, Dini, 남의 관계 미시에빠 되는 남도 로벨은 그 해다 해야 리바 주지바다 리제 청원 응아 청바 따로 왔어 세다 내 가도에는 주다스에는 싫어봐이나 자리 나와이나래 가지다 시전 내용 때문에 하게 될 군도 대마서 가서 도도 대마 내기 계속 해야 거기 시제 창조 있다 저 누약 계속 해도 어딜 내기 다 거기 시자 마보 쉬고 맞다 나와이네 대마 니만想말아 시 거기 시자 지정아 해야 초샤 저 중샤这电话呀，长把去东藏是没啥毛病，其实。这觉得，他这马现在开始是了，那东西马现在那也跨出呀，他要嘛的是。那浪到的，他也得要别个，来来那一个没有些下些那，那这时候他。连举着看看没呢，电车站啥也嘛是吧？现在太你看是啥这么就，这个热啥啷个这要嘛是啥？电影那也他妈些呢，他们这些嘛看个啥里啊这样的，啷个嘛现在，电影那下啥什么习惯就贴他可是，看啥虽然贴了可是啥，两万多万的东西没得啥习惯是吧？现在대화 되면 대화서 영어 말하고 그러는 시 거의 유자를 주고 그러. 어쩔 대화 줘야 돼. 또 대화 타도 저거지. 세번에 니나게 세번에. 어제 마게 레데나가 마게는 네 그게 내려서야 또 말이. 다 니나게 배 니지다 주디나게 말에는 타와서야 또 말아 봐. 세상 탐지 개발 타와서 탐지 개발我看要他们那一张，人家那的被写完了，写完一张，他马西呗，你们是那看的，可马西这个啦是个，人家那也是没写个啥没多少钱呢，我就马西那种的这样的写，而且挺熟的。
So the next major point is captioned. What are the faults of not understanding the true truths, right? In other words, so what's the big deal if I don't understand the true truth, right? That's modern translation. That's the way even Geshe said it. So as Geshe said, maybe this is more in the historical context. In Buddhism, as well as when we say non-Buddhist, we really mean the Hindu schools at that time. Most of those schools tried to establish true truths, right, the way they understood them. Because they all agreed that if you don't understand the true truth, you will not be able to end the suffering and find liberation or whatever that goal is, So from a Buddhist point of view, if we don't understand the true truth, which means that we don't understand the ultimate truth or reality, then it's impossible for us to be free from samsara, right? There is no second option or the way to get out of samsara. And if we really want to find what we call everlasting happiness, right, then that's the only way. We have to realize emptiness and uproot the delusions, and then we free ourselves from samsara. But while we are in samsara, we also want a certain kind of happiness, and happiness does not happen causelessly, right? We have to create the causes. This is where we believe creating positive karmas are the causes of, shall we say, temporary happiness, if you will, right? And if we don't understand emptiness and think that nothing exists at all, then we are invalidating, underestimating, nullifying the law of karma and actions, right? And if we do that, we have become a nihilist. So we have fallen into this extreme. That's why in Buddhism we talk about that it is essential for us to stay on the middle, free of these two extremes, isn't it? And if we fall into the extreme of nihilism, forget about liberation and enlightenment, we are not even going to be able to find temporary happiness because we completely disregarded the law of karma and results. But if we don't understand emptiness really well, then there is no way for us to achieve both liberation and enlightenment because realization of emptiness is essential for that. So this is the big reason why we say it's a big deal. If somebody says, you know what, okay, I don't understand the truth, and so what's the big deal? So what happens now, right? So what happens now is that we see no end to the suffering, right? We all wish for happiness. We all don't wish any suffering. So when we think in terms of what we call ultimate happiness, or I would like to say everlasting happiness rather than ultimate, it's so confusing with the word ultimate in English, then realizing emptiness is essential there. So this is why we make every effort to understand the true truths. No, sir. So here we are, talking about the need to understand the true truths. If we don't, then what happens, right? And as Krishna said, it's not just the Buddhists who are trying to present the true truth, but the non-Buddhists, meaning the Hindu schools we are here, they are also trying to establish the true truth. And, for example, like Charvakas, Gyangpempa in Tibetan, so they don't believe in the law of karmic action and results, right? Whatever is here, then after that. So for them, from Buddhist point of view, you have no chance to even find happiness of the samsara in the future, isn't it? Because they become a nihilist. Then there could be some other schools, they really don't believe in liberation at all. They said ending the suffering for good is, no, I don't believe that. So they have fallen into another extreme. So it's important for us to be able to stay on the middle, free of those two extremes we talked about. So the need to realize or understand the true truth, so that is really stated in a number of authentic Buddhist texts. Nagarjuna in his Fundamental Wisdom Treatise, Mule Madhyamikas Umatsawashera, then also in the Rigpa Tuksuba, 60 Reasoning, then in the Precious Garland, Ratna Avali, then what is the Chandrakirti in his the middle supplement to the middle way. So in all of these texts, they said that we must understand the true truths. So in the metaphysical treatises or the logic texts that monastic scholars study and debate, right, endlessly, everywhere they always confront this concept of the true truths, isn't it? So true truths it really constitute the foundation, isn't it? And if you don't understand the true truth, then it's really hard to talk about the practice of abandonment and adoption, right? Because those are established on the basis of the true truths. So if we have no idea about what is to be abandoned and what's to be adopted, then there is really no practice for us. And as the lack of that, then how can we end suffering that we don't want, and how can we find happiness that we are seeking? So in that context, understanding the true truths constitute the foundation, right, upon which all of these things are talked about or built up, if you will. And so this is why in Buddhism you encounter the true truths everywhere, if you like. Right? Yeah.
Oh, that is because no imagine the Jones is that. Can you do it? Toyada, Dunisia, Taps and married or that. That Guba Dini Nutrition pay on this that Dini Shan and their careers, and Digi Gagape Dunisia, the Devadia Gagadina, this that Tashamuri. Carson Social easy because they are doing with the Chechiguaro.
No.
But this is the time they are doing the Dunisia Gagadir or the Yugi needs to share water, Yugi needs to tell to and you got a Chitang Changa, Sidre, you be Tagaja to say Yomarva.
No.
You know, Ricky Shan to do that, they use as you see doing. And so, because they Devani Karama in the way, Lord Shantideva was called Dora. She said, Debagina Sudi. Then Geshe Debakis, she because the long door said, they said she was.
No.
They said the long door said she was that.
No, so.
That Devani said, long door gets you married. Because he's a easy Kony Karunji and Drogo.
No, so.
But there's a sweet time you don't do it.
No,
They hit a long dog, so you could sure somebody didn't do more.
no, really.
Or did it?
No. So as we said, all sentient beings are equal in that we wish for happiness and nobody wishes for suffering. And happiness and suffering do not arise without causes and conditions. So in order for us to be able to find proper ways to find happiness and end suffering, it is pertinent and also essential for us to understand the true truths. Okay? As Geshe explained, that when we deal with the true truths, what we are basically saying is that in reality there are these two truths, right? And of course, if you think of objects of knowledge, nobody can count them. They are just innumerable, right? But the true truth is a very handy way, so to speak, to bring together everything that exists. Anything that exists either has to be conventional truth or it has to be the ultimate truth. So that way, it becomes much more manageable, right? We have to deal with two things. We don't have to deal with innumerable things because, who can do that, right? And so in terms of being able to conceptualize, think about the true truth is much easier to handle. There are two things, right? That's why this classification matters. And sometimes, as we said, we often talk about the Four Noble Truths. But the Four Noble Truths is presented more from, shall we say, the practice point of view. What needs to be abandoned, what we must not do, and what needs to be cultivated, what we should do, isn't it? But the true truths are not necessarily presented from practice point of view. They are presented from the reality point of view, right? Ontological point of view, or the conventional point of view, if you will. And of course, they also are related to practice as well. The Four Noble Truths do not include every phenomena that exists, right? Whereas the true truth includes every phenomena that exists. So there is a big difference, right? The true truths are very comprehensive, what we call all-inclusive categories, whereas the Four Noble Truths are not all-inclusive categories. They are for the practice. Okay, what do I need to get rid of? What should I adopt, right? So that distinction. Presentation is done from different point of view or for different reasons. Yeah. Yes.
No, da goba de ye ni zi he pe yun de ye li ba ri ten la pa ba le cho yin de le gu yin jung de ye le de na ye me hi ba ta tube ka me mo de da ma lu cho sa ni punzo pa ru shuwa jur xeba so mangos no da kan tangi na ye ma xeba jong de da ti gedi long de za mi ne pe den ro za so ti ju jo shung ma ba da di hen de ka res na pe yo de ni le ba xeba la pi ga jo sa de ro sa cho ni da si de da de da de ju xia de da sang xie gong de ba中医做的上节课嘛，都是那个那个是组织这些么些，他把的连着不给让我也不喜欢了，你也那这瞧笑呀是吧？现在的你现在别开全部，现在别，可是朋友全部，马现在梦想全部，我现在的意思，是你要不现在呢？学内容写着，学内容要不写着，上些课是中文那传统运动就是刚刚别个课程里面的别个没写个写吧两个面的，所以说不那也就写把写的这和上些的生涯的传统这些，那是给人在这不，我个所有写到永远有什么，我就是这样。
So earlier we talked about if you don't understand the true truth, so what's the big deal, right? Then we said our wishes will remain unfulfilled. We want to find everlasting happiness or ultimate happiness. That's never going to happen. We want to end the suffering for good. That's never going to happen. And that's why, right? Because our really wishes is to be free from suffering for good and have that lasting happiness. So for that reason, true truth matters. Now, from the benefit point of view, looking at the truth, so you said, okay, so what do I get, right? Modern translation, what do I get if I understand the true truth? Well, what we get, and in the most important one is by understanding the true truth, that helps us to be able to accumulate the two types of collection of merit, punya, and collection of insight or wisdom, gyan. And why these two collections matters? Well, these collections are going to evolve into or help us to be able to become an enlightened being, Buddha. So here we talk about the two enlightened bodies, right? And the enlightened bodies are the outcomes of the fulfillment of the two types of collection of merit and wisdom. And fulfilling those things are pinched upon understanding the true truths. So that's the benefit there. Yeah. So when we understand the true truth really well, it kind of opens our eyes to the whole, profound and extensive Buddha's teachings, where Buddha taught all kinds of things, and that's why we classify into that which is interpretable and that which is definitive, isn't it? So now we are able to understand why Buddha said something, right? Under what circumstances and why, right? We are able to say, oh, that's an interpretable thing. You don't have to accept it literally, right? But this is really what Buddha actually said it, he meant it, kind of thing, they're definitive. So we're able to understand the distinction between interpretable discourses and definitive discourses. And of course, Geshe said that's how it's explained in this text. Of course, enlightenment is not the only goal we are seeking, but there are others who are seeking just liberation for themselves from samsara. And for that, again, so they need merit and wisdom, right? We may not call collections, my footnote, but merit and wisdom, but that is also related to understanding the true truths. Or that, beings seek good rebirth, isn't it? But the good rebirths have to come from positive karmic actions. So really understanding the law of karma in depth is again impinged upon understanding the true truths.
Rimba doesn't stemma. Omabe Munzin doesn't sheva os. There's that the inside the Gaza that just they make it chirurgy. Namasaji the Gaga, the him as the Debasum Shankaso Yamarada. The Shawaji Shitama, the Mani Shawari, Dodebe Shawi, Omakos, Ganga Shawari, Shazuda and Jamara.
No.
But that because he tell a Jagdeve, because he is also there. She don't share a niche. Truda he doesn't share us. Truda he the Maki of the shaking is shaking. Omabe Muzi doesn't share us. Omabe Yadina share shaking. But some such in shaking is
no, son. So the next important outline of the point is the way it is literally written there is who are the individuals or persons who establish the true truths. The easy way to say this is, as we said, now we are talking within the confines of Buddha Dharma, Buddha's teaching. So we, of course, looking at the four Buddhist schools of thought or tenets, right? So these are the individuals or persons dealing with the true truth. Generally speaking, all the Buddhist tenet followers or the proponents, they believe in true truths, right? There's no Buddhist schools of thought that says there are three truths, right? They all said, yes, we all agree there are true truths. But then you ask them, what are the true truths? Now we will come up with different presentations or explanations. And so this is why we might briefly deal with other Buddhist schools of tenets, like from Vaibhashika to Sautrantika, and maybe the mind-only Chitta Martin. And then, of course, the second part is dealing with the middle way school, right? That's, so to speak, the main focus.
What did that was the baby concert? Paper water. Ninja was Ninja was the Yam
Law.
Ninja was the Lam Yamsling Gasamiro.
No.
But years, Tambo Lion, two more star. No more than Dodevada. That did more Mars and the Ruta.
Cheduni.
More Mars and the Matro Mars, more Mars and Bishop. Did you what that? Roger made the more Mars and Mero.
Law.
Oh, this is because Tiba is so near Tamala, two more water. Shajum to the law Majua. To the law Majua near the Yella. More none. The regret that was sugar to them. Chicken did the Jugo Shajunshi so. Ninja Para, Tony Moson to Toby. Pavatam. Tony Toson Gitobi. Soji Yela. Peba. Mama today, Tap Tibetana, Ninja Java Omabe, Rigbe never down. Mama Rana, Koma Umela, Kumel, Mama Rana, Kumel Umala never down. Ninja Java Omaba Lion, Loya Cheverges, Kumel Uma Segi never yet. There's a logo, Yele Jever, Yewale Jever, there Jaden, Tameva Nani, Tameva Nani, Pumela, Trula Soba, Sheve Zama, in the Shemoana, Ninja Be, Mezama, maybe Tuesday, soon she do. Then you try to Tongue, Tuesday, check it, she Maison short, shy. Charity, Shahi mind. For Balas and Joe. They are all by Susan. You are coming, but they couldn't mind. You mother Joe, she songs. Conscious of that lawyer, she did any Namja, she was the Sena de shows up and said, and all my charge of the Como Rebecca in the car, never yours. Remember yours. Oh, this open Shirama do your boys can and the day I simply don't ever tell a yawa. And the tell the sense of a yash and the Komoko more never is the bouncing. Tata Gonza the Dubdaka and power the old sinner. And it Dubda might be Shilling of Yat and power to Gangaki. Dubda Komashia, Babdik Joji. Pendo yours.
No. King Mabasona got temper to Bakelanga and Ranshi to Bakelanga.
That is Rangi to a piece. Jasha is almost the demote of a monkey.
No, no. So, among the persons or individuals dealing with the true truth, we may find both Pelba, ordinary persons, individuals, as well as yogis, or the, shall we call, meditators or practitioners there, right? And then the yogis, among them, we find those who have realized non-conceptually, directly, the ultimate reality as it is, and then ordinary beings who have not yet realized the emptiness directly, but understand it conceptually, so to speak. So we find those divisions there. So in Buddhism, we have often talked about these four schools of thought or tenets: Charamaba, Vaibhashikas, right? Then we have Dodeba, Sautrantikas. This is one rank higher up. Then above that, we have Chittamartins, mind-only school. And then we have the Madhyamikans or the middle way school, right? These are the four Buddhist schools of thought. So as Geshe explained, the way we understand them is that what is explained in the lower schools of Buddhist thought is a stairway to climb up and understand what is explained in the higher schools of thought. So it is like a rungs in a ladder, right? The stairway up. And if you really understand well the Vaibhashika's presentation of the truth, then it will help us to be able to understand the Sautrantikas, right, dealing with the truth, which is one up, right, higher up. And the same goes with Chittamartins and so forth. So sometimes, within Buddhist schools of thought, we classify, number of these schools as Ngömawa. I think the Ngömawa can be translated as literally, realist. Okay. In other words, they believe in the true existence of things, right? So they are called Ngömawa, like realism or realist. I hope that English word makes some sense there.
What is it? Kata Jubda, Oma Deva, the Komo Ma, Sene, Telia, Nuris, or this is the Wakarsa. And the children of Jubda, Yabu Higina, and the number of Jubda, Teva Sher Drew Sigua, but the Shava of the Yarava. Muzina Shulu, Shirasa, no samba. There's a dead Monjola. Simply Teva juice. She said, Children do that to the country, Kumji is on and Sanjil, the usher do so. Take what I cannot take shower. That my young motivation, should I look at you? With the part you
Right. So, what Geshe just said is this, that if we look at things, so to speak, in a proper way, then, as we said, understanding the tenets of the lower schools of thought helps us to understand the tenets of the higher schools of thought better, right? So they are interconnected, and they are like the stairway to understand the higher ups. And in the same sense, what Geshe says is that if you look at it proper way, then studying and understanding the non-Buddhist tenet schools, this could help us to be able to appreciate more and develop conviction in Buddha's teachings, right? And Geshe was reciting some lines from memory. One of the great masters talked about that. As I studied more, like your teaching, and compared to the non-Buddhist textbook, I started to develop stronger faith in you, But then if you don't look in the proper way, then studying non-Buddhist schools, you might get converted, that way, right? It can go either direction depending upon, right? Instead of being helpful in the way we just said, from Buddhist point of view, we might get converted back into something else. So it depends. Doing it properly means that, right? Yeah.
What did that? No, that was this way, but no. Gandhi, Tibetan Dorjee, that Gaden Dorjee, and it to someone to call, so what's the true guy was in someone of zero.
No.
Timothy doing a pump said, so much to take a share of
Not in.
Taiwan doing it, there was the crashing in. And got 2 years, you were some of the sort of some days, got so much water. No, don't know what it was. I call you. You did paper to the doing it, there was just a calling you make it on your martachi, talk about the nigger, which you make talk to somewhere in someone to say, 10 minutes about the say, mother.
No.
Because same the you only tomato of the Geshe here.
No.
What is sort of said? No, that they were the lot of me in my new.
No, sir. So if we compare the different schools of thoughts and tenet within Buddhism, depending upon their cognitive development stages, if you will, that the higher of tenets are more refined, right, and more profound in some sense, And just to illustrate that, that's what Geshe was saying. That example he just shared is that, as ordinary people, right? We talk about things in an ordinary way. What does being clean mean? Okay, take shower, right? You smell good. Okay, put on some nice clothes. Now you're very clean, and right? So that's what we say. Now we are not denying that's clean, but then from spiritual point of view, right? We look at that. Well, just cleaning your body is really, right? Doesn't mean like you're clean, really. The cleaning means cleaning your mind. Our mind is defiled and it smells, and we just don't care about that, right? Aggregates are contaminated. We don't talk about that in ordinary sense. So we think this is clean. I just washed myself, okay? So that's a little different, right, level of cognitive, you said, that the thinking we are talking about that. In a mundane way, what we really care about is what we know, right? Okay, becoming rich and famous and bold and beautiful, and Geshe might not say everything that, but it all goes together well. But we really never talk about that samsara is fraught with suffering, or like I don't want to be in samsara. Nobody talks like that, right? Ordinarily, like, hey, there's a lot of pleasure. Samsara is fun. No, we never say even samsara is fun. That's a lot of things. That's good. But then from a spiritual point of view, we talk a lot about what's wrong with samsara. And yes, cleaning outside is important, but cleaning inside is more important, because our mind has all these stains of delusions. If you can clean that, you're really clean, isn't it? So if you compare those two levels of thinking, cognitively, they are not at the same level, right? So like that, we see the same thing, kind of metaphorically speaking, or literally speaking, among the Buddhist schools of tenets.
Many Raji make by Raja Mishila the Mesa. Teach him a ship of the Shimil of the Yama, Sheva and Dichang. Jeva song so. Jeva song so. Zajam today on me. Tanzatana Tola. Come Ribe Baba. Dema Inje. Omen do the Tanzania. Come go by Dema Meno. Tell myself. Omo Omen do Zilla. Pesha Koma. Come Lamdil. Some Komala Jobe. 1000 Jordan. There Dame Tonji Tanji on the Shena. Tony Samo Rigi Toba Minive, Dujana Dame Chamo Remi Shed, Sura Kaji Kaji Da Yevatemata. Young Gaji Taji Ramaji Kaza Da Meda. Then a young Ranja Tevi, the Gitobe. Kaza Damit so Remji Tembe said that is what Tushibali. Tinit so Tomane Tamji used the Javacha. Tonum Tapshin Shamila Chini Nava Embawo, Shedon. Tin Jabaya, Julo Juma Sanwa, Toma Corner, Tombani, Chitawa of the Jala, Shendi Momba Jorde. Tis Papa no, Toma Corner, Tomba Nimi Dondo, Shesum. Ritual Legend, the drop by the Shita, Yigashimo Lojo, the Tis only deserve. Shetu Seve Shetondo. Kajilan, Digwale, Navado Shetu, Kaji Sono Division. Kajilan, Nidem, Kajilan, Nimedi. Samo could change you, Tony Jibosho. Simply Shanjuba Kajilo, she songs. Oh, dear Jetta, the Juda moment to the Shiva, the Pesha, and Koma, to the Shiva, but the Shadi or this. Or this Shadani, the Meta Toda, the Kajil Tamoto, Da Yuvate, and the Da Yuvate shows a tell that computer citizen. Consolidated and the Da Yuva never told, then Dama to Huga to Shang or what dress the something was shirt there, the top of Nazo share that anyway, because the Changdong is a Karina, because the Tatu young dear to a thousand middle done your research, because the Geshe Gyeltsen.
No.
What did he say?
No. So as Geshe read from the text and explained that the four schools of Buddhist thought are the tenets, Dubda, Siddhanta, as we said, the lower school tenets are more like the stairway to climb up and understand the higher tenets within that. So Buddha, of course, taught things out of compassion and very skillfully. Of course, Buddha's main intention is whether he give definitive discourses or interpretable discourses or whatever other things he taught, that ultimately he would like to lead everybody to the state of nirvana, state beyond suffering, right? That's his. So in the process of doing that, Buddha adopted all kinds of ways. His intention is that everybody realizes selflessness and then they can find a way to nirvana. But he realized that for some beings, it's very hard to talk about selflessness right from the beginning. Geshe didn't say that. It just kind of freaks them out, my footnote. So then Buddha talked as if there is a self, right? For some people, he said, yeah, it looks like, what you believe there is a self, right? He just go with it. And then as they become sort of more mature, right, then he started to poke into that whole notion. There are problems here, there. Then slowly did realize they're smart, like, oh, this is not what really it is. So this is how his skillful way of slowly guiding them to selflessness. But he couldn't do it from the beginning because it's too much for them, So Geshe would like to stop there today, and we will go first to the online, and then we will come back here. Yeah. And please keep the beautiful glass doors open so we can hear you clearly. Yeah. Thank you, Losana. You have?
There's no questions online.
Okay, so then we are here. Oh, could you give it to her?
So I have a few questions actually.
Yeah.
You said we need to meditate to achieve a state of non-dual emptiness of self.
Mm-hmm.
What does emptiness of self mean?
Could you bring up a little bit?
Sorry, what does emptiness of self mean? Meaning, it's so complex. Do we not have a like our soul doesn't have a purpose here, or what is the meaning of that, and what meditation is that we need to do?
So, what's the meaning of emptiness of
self?
Self.
Yes.
Okay. And okay, so is there a particular meditation on that, right?
Yes, for the non-dual. Oh, I forgot.
Non-dualistic understanding of emptiness.
Yes,
right.
of self.
Sure. Thank you. Morang condition did the work in. Ane karso kore. The tendam tembaski that's in Tongi Rawage. Tongi saying that toy the kitchen, but the Jixum Rawage. Chiza ane. Tongi said the Rawage, Tongi and Tame said the Karalago rest on that Rawage. And then the Karsaware Musum to Sawage. Nina maybe to the Toya la Karicha or Com Rabs Mixake or a Karicha or Tongi Hawai Com Karicha. Nina maybe Tongi talk down Lia Karicha or so that Yamner so.
Tongi said that Tomoto that. Topeta the several Maro, that's it. Gudego do at this. That didn't come to doors, the come to the Lord, sales, and the council Papa Palantos on Tony Muslim doors at Ligero. But there are come in here, Sanjiru, to Kalea Combe journey in the Muslim wood over it.
That under never Tony except come down.
No, look, that shows shares on the figure, so easy of the Yumakaja to show shares that so some of the journey. That detective inside a sunny. Easy, the one thing is that that's going to some of the no do inside that easy, the one did to take care of the motion and to the lawyer, Combo, John, and yard on the.
So what Geshe said is that emptiness. By that, what we mean is the ultimate nature of everything that exists, including self, right? And as ordinary being, we try to make efforts to study what it is. And our first hope is to be able to understand it conceptually, right? It's through learning and analysis, right? And so as we are learning it, we just listen to the discourses on emptiness and try to understand how it's explained, elucidated, and check with our mind, how do we perceive realities or phenomena, right? And is there a mismatch between the way we see things and how it is explained, right? We just kind of do some comparison there, isn't it? So then through this kind of a process, when we understand correctly emptiness first conceptually, now we meditate on it. So through meditation, then we are able to achieve more clarity with regard to the emptiness. This is how slowly we are able to see or understand perceive the emptiness more clear and clearly, and this is how finally it becomes what we call non-dual perception of emptiness, right? So this is through meditation, right? We are able to achieve the clarity, perceptual clarity, slowly, right? So it's a process through which we go through that. And of course, it's not necessarily an easy process, but that's how we start and that's how we continue. Does that?
Yeah, so it's a more like rightful view.
Right view.
Right view.
Yes.
So it's
Yes. Di tanda nga zo ken palami yala je nang ge di ro yang ta be tawa se jo di re de ro so ge. Palami yala je nang yang ta be tawa yo ba ge. Di sam ki me do yang ta be tawa da tong ni de chi po chi shin de go ro ge. Palami yala je na ge yang ta be tawa se jo ro ge. Yang ta be tawa da tong ni de tun ji ro chi shin de go na ka ne.
Yang ta be tawa se jo ta tawa se zo zo da di tawa se de yu jen ko ro ma. 동에 디 유들이 뭐디 그 다와스도 유전 거고
알레네 인주 딱 알레 유의 유전 쳐봐만 지 버려 되었다. No. Yeah, the right view, right? The way this comes Tibetan, it refers to the subjective experience, right? And the emptiness when we talk about is the objective. It's the object. Right? It's really even hard to say object in English, right? Emptiness is the focus, right? The view, when we say it is the subjective perception of that emptiness. So right view is, yes, they go together, but technically when we say right view is the subjective experience, the emptiness, yeah.
This is just a follow-up to her question.
Sure.
She also asked, is selflessness the absence of a soul? Does selflessness mean the absence of the soul, right? Is this what you said? Did you say soul? Soul's purpose, yeah. Is selflessness, does it refer to the lack of soul's purpose, if I can say that?
You mean the soul purpose like S-O-L-E, soul purpose, S-O-U-L, soul? What's that?
Soul, S-O-U-L, right?
No. Okay. Oh, S-O-L-E. S-O-U-L. Oh, so you mean like, is selflessness the same as the soul? Is that what you're saying? The emptiness. Yeah. Is emptiness the same as understanding the soul? Is that what you're saying?
the purpose of your reincarnation, of your life purpose. So the purpose of your living, of your soul, of this.
To understand emptiness.
Yes, is the emptiness of self, the emptiness of the purpose of your life, your current life, your current reincarnation.
So let me try to understand. Right? So you're asking, is emptiness the purpose of our very existence, current life? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So by that you mean the realizing the emptiness, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Of self.
Okay.
Emptiness of self.
But then that's not the S-O-U-L, is it?
Yes, your soul. Your soul is your purpose, right? Your soul is the one that reincarnates. No?
Is this emptiness the same as understanding the soul that reincarnates? Is that what you're asking?
So emptiness of self.
Because I'm trying to understand your question, right? Otherwise, right, for me, it's not coming out clearly. So
I don't think I'm.
No, try it again. You said.
So whenever you have emptiness of self, are you giving up the purpose of you reincarnating now?
The purpose of incarnating now.
In this current lifetime. So my understanding is that whenever you reincarnate, it's due to karma. And you have a purpose to reincarnate. So
is emptiness that purpose of reincarnating? Is that what it is?
It's giving up that purpose, or is it
affirming that purpose?
Correct.
Okay. Moran chiwa di tes issue gi tsik the dero nyok to sabur sto again. Tongni she de ro again. Tongni she te di da thonda rabu di sgor da Quran gi tsik pheje she di issue 전에 다 로와게 다 진짜 럽주면 되게 당가서 넘버 쉐어 쉐어 로와게 넘버 쉐어 데 상벌 때 개와 상벌 때 쉐어 로와게 저 동반이 쉐디 다 개와 상벌 때 돈다다 무슨 닝되어버디 동반이 쉐어를 왜 쓰고 살게
저 뭐래
말 개와 상벌 때 그러와 다 개와 레벨 그대로 쓰라고 말하다 그대로 버디 동반이 도와들고 살왜 कुछ दिन को सा
저는 그도 선다 저좀 내야 돼 그러다 레상에 그 정식 린으로 콜 로스 비즈니스 가셔 말와 다 저 약사 좀 실례면 이 비즈니스 요
그죠 바 쭈찔로 딜러고 살래 라로와 hope this answers your question. Of course, in Buddhism, first my clarification, not Geshe-la, okay? We don't use the word soul, that complicates it. Right? Buddhist is Atma. We don't believe in soul. We talk consciousness, right? So that's the complicating factor here, right? So even I don't translate Atma because then Geshe-la gets really completely, he'll go into somewhere. So I just said consciousness. I just change it. So that's the complicating part. But from Buddhist point of view, right, instead of soul, we said consciousness, that takes reincarnate, right? If you want a good reincarnate, you want good karma, all of that. But whether we like it or not, it is just a continuous process, you know. It just keeps happening depending upon the karmas we accumulate, you know. So it's not necessarily that emptiness is tied up with or reincarnating over and again in samsara, good and bad. Is that coming a little clear to you? Yeah. Now, if I'm thinking about, let's say, I want to sort of improve my status of existence, I don't know, right? I want to get out of samsara, right? Instead of reincarnating all the time in samsara, I want to get out of that. Then emptiness is, right, is essential to understand that, you know. Hopefully that helps somewhere there, okay? In the neighborhood right now, we are in your course, okay. So,
there's a question online too.
Sure.
So this person asks, please explain the reason for seeking enlightenment for others.
Please explain the reasons for seeking enlightenment?
For others.
Huh?
For others. Other people.
Oh, for others. Oh, yes. Shantideva 창조 누구 여러 와게. 시행기 된도 창조 누야 되기 금제라고 가려 어려서게. 시행기 된도리야 창조 누구 여러 와게. 대 금제라고 가려 어려서들이야.
아네. 시행도 창조 누야 가려서는 this or that. 소소 창조 구호로 내가 나기 시행라 창조 구호로. 창조 구호야 찍고 통통하죠 없으나 뉴스 찍고 차요로 와. 제가 다 소소 구호나 이 시행라 구호야자. 시행 동시 창조 접시. 소소 지워서도 창조 주야 요 말하다. 어디리.
이내게 따티 랭게스 드가스 시행도 된 코라코라 창조 코라 루션 되로 게 미션만 뭐.
됐어다. 코라 자다 저부터 나도 주고로.现在到时候现在상호다디 쇼샤지요.
이내디 최고의 가련에서 소소든 시행도 창조 주고 그거 좀
现在소소이 그 야고고야다 누구 믿어야 그가 찍어지긴 거지. 기도죠 찍어지긴 해요. 봐. 다 대신에 다 소소배 야고 되어지.现在가르치나 욕샤나 지당적으로 그 탑도 좀 샤고로. 미. 얘가
데 신진 주발이야 그냥 탑다 나서 편도 체를 두슬람니 되고나 디냠도.
라.
신거도 창조 주베나 신진 주베야라 그냥 베트 고 자침부 야고 차그로 와게. 이 랍션에 되고나 면하게.
라.
렌디 냠도 디 람나 되고나 면하게 신진 주발라다 소소 갑다시라면서 신진 주베스게 요마로게 와. 다 소소 산제 주베이나 소소도 산제 주베다 신미 산제 되고 델리아 로고 체다 딘델리아 뉴바 체여.
现在他是上有套过些国外的这些玩意，现在新年的现在你把没是吧？现在你把他呀他来的上有这个意思，就没有这个生活了。
just try to get more like a straightforward answer there, because Geshe-la goes into different places. I said, then that's just getting dispersed, right? Well, the first thing is, in order to be enlightened, right, we really have to think about others, right? If you only think about ourselves, there's no way to get enlightened. Yeah? So altruism, or the better word in Sanskrit, bodhicitta, right? We seek enlightenment, right? Our own enlightenment as a means to fulfill the end, which is others' enlightenment. What Geshe-la was saying earlier is that, both self and others wish to be enlightened, he said. So how can we only think about ourselves and not think about others, But as I was preaching Geshe-la, maybe you need to give a little more than that, right? And so, of course, our ultimate goal is how can we bring the greatest benefits to others, help in the most possible way. The only way we can do that is when we ourselves become enlightened, isn't it? Then we are able to carry out our real wish. At the moment when we are not enlightened and like others, yes, we can wish, but we really don't have the ability and skills to do that, right? So once we achieve enlightenment, seek enlightenment for others, we become enlightened. Now we are able to, what's the American expression? Walk the talk there, right? Yeah. Yeah, sure. One more question there.
Okay, so I think I'll just read the whole thing. Does a person's level of intelligence have anything to do with the ability to understand emptiness?
Okay.
Or since it is cultivated through meditation, can even a simple person with an uneducated mind reach this level of understanding?
Sure. Thank you. That was a clear question to me. So it saves me. Because Tajetani Tiwa Shuechel Rawagin, and then Tongba Ni the Toya Laras Rawagin, and the Kansa Sosolia Sherab Namjugi Kebaruke Yor Yomares Rawagin. Tongba Ni Toya Lia Sherab Namjugi Kebaru Yor Yomares Rawagin. Jena Kansa Lobjan Kayan meeting it, and Piabachigi, and the Tony Com Jabdebina, and the Tony thought to get Mares again, Peba Lobjon Meba, in a Tony Com that I Tony Kumgo or Toyet, Konoko Tony thought to get a young Namjo share which makes a Kabash which cool rest goes again. Get to us on again. Get no, sir. No. Al Karine, so Kojish Koyon, Kale Kalejan. That was a lot of Mavachiki, Tony Amjoni, Comgina, Kora Kojish, going to draw there. No. So what Geshe-la said is this, of course, if somebody just happens to have a sharp faculty, well, they have the advantage maybe to understand emptiness faster and more easily, relatively speaking. But even if we don't have sharp faculty, right? I mean, we make effort to understand emptiness through discourses and then try to meditate around it, right? I think slowly, right? It's impossible not to have some understanding of emptiness. We refine it, right? Slowly, so we can understand it. So Geshe-la says it's impossible not to have some understanding through familiarity with the concept, and we can refine it. Okay. Now. When in the Buddhist literature, there are many examples. The one prominent one is, you have to excuse me, I don't know his Indian name, but that does name matter, but here, it's called Arya Lamchum. I should never translate the name, but then I translate. It's Arya on the small path, that's what it means. And he was, with all my due respect, so dumb person. I mean, he had a hard time memorizing 1 or 2 words for months and months. He's that slow, right? But then, of course, he persisted in that. And so later, he became what we call Arya, transcendental being, means who realized directly emptiness, right? So this person who started really dumb, really slow, but finally become a transcendental being. So that's that possibility we talk about, right?
Well, in that question that was just asked, it was implied that since emptiness is meditated upon, the understanding of emptiness is cultivated in meditation, or realization of emptiness is cultivated in meditation, then really one doesn't need to understand it beforehand. One doesn't need to study, and because of that, intellectual understanding of emptiness is really not important. That was implied. Is that true?
Okay. Quran discord again. 동력이 고말이야 동력 고랑 검제 동력 제로하게 니기 알레 고르비치 녀바도 고고고래 고아면에 꽃이 검대 가시는 갈래갈래 고 동이 바또 누구를 가르치고 그랬어 그래서 고나기
아니 고아 좀지도 그거라 다고 동이사 먼저 제저거 그 가르서 가르지 속다 저거 차다는 거 고면서 배우면
나래
아니 그 고음세서 들어가잖아
알레 고아배 자자 자다면 이제 고아시 국어
고아지 그거 그 섬도지 고아세 근데 건설할 때 하고 아우 얘마들 하고 이제 레미도 하고 그러
알레 놓아서
이제 야야
What 전에 디고다 Yeah, Geshe says, to meditate on emptiness, we have to have some right understanding of it, right? Otherwise, our mind is blank, So that understanding might come through listening to teaching, right? It may not be perfect understanding or really completely one, but we have some understanding, right? Otherwise, you just can't start meditating on emptiness without any understanding there. It's just like we're trying to recognize a person, at least we should have some idea of the feature of a person, right? Not the whole thing, maybe the nose or something. We have to, then we slowly, right, work with that. Yeah.
So in that sense, the level of intelligence that we're talking about, the level of intelligence, the question was about the level of intelligence that was mentioned in the question, it does matter.
Yeah.
Right.
지도 갈라다 셰랍지 그 셰랍 다기 남주 셰랍 케밥 거르세 케밥 매버리면 케밥 요사로 와서 셰랍을 구구서 와서 고소해.
나.
다기 남주 셰랍 로하게 연안이 약고래 고 요거 싱그레 약싱로 에네 메네 갈래 갈치 싱글랍 로하게. 그래서나 인지미 셰랍이 구구도 메나 대 동이 고매면도 와서게.
아니. 근데 자 누구라. 몇선 넘어고도 셰랍 싶으지 지금도 여먹고 저가 아마 거운데 거운데 지금 거마 좀 세야 야야 진도 더먹고니 배 려운데 셰럽 넘어지 거 롱수거든 하여 말아
말해 제가 가서 로아 미스다 고 셰럽지 왜 버랑 체스 로하게 고체
거의 뿌이다고 뭐 셰럽지
So Geshe says, of course, if we think about many factors, right, that goes in there, but let's say as a human being, we have human intelligence, so that's good enough to be able to deal with it, right? We don't have to have a particular special one, right? Yeah, that's good enough. Yeah. So we'll stop. Okay, go ahead. Last question on you, and then we have maybe prayers. Yeah.
So how does one gauge one's progress in this accumulation of merit and wisdom? Right.
How
does one gauge their progress in this
how do
accumulation?
you know how you are increasing merit, or is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Dagi again this sumrawa that basic ko de dawa dagi sa dagi teni shen ba ina an chongni zoya da jing mamu sumrawa ge an chongni sa yin de ko chongni li ya so chongni ya pege yo ba da ya de du go ba so kan des ko chu gre sa ge rang ge chongni
그때 하고 그러다 봐도 소소 로종정신나 라다시나 때데 이마마 얘기해서 하고 그래. 좋아라.
된 초니 시대 간대잖아. 초니잖아.
라.
초니잖아. 소나면 야게 두고 있다 간대 사고 그래서 답변나 소나면 초사게 이나 소소 야게 두고 있다 초사야 들어가게.
야게 들어다 되래. 왜나 들어가 이마 년 소소 시다다. 엔타다 시야다. 어쩌든 이게 그 야게로 시도 소소 영용조 저도로.
어디 셰럽 그 차들어 와다게 소남 그 차디.
소놈 저다 걸랑서 시야도 다 그러나 the twinge to drop yar do it, go so the Zoyo Tara.
No, yeah. Yeah. Of course, Geshe too much focus on the wisdom side. I said you have to answer both sides, Geshe. I'm sorry to remind him. I have a difficult job here, you know. And so Geshe said, of course, I mean, in case of what Geshe was talking about, the wisdom part, right? We know where we started, starting point. So now you have spent some time, so you yourself can find out. Now your knowledge is increasing, right? You're understanding it, right? Better and better. But I said, what about the merit part? Geshe, you're only answering one part there. You said, yeah, the merit part is like, say, I mean, you develop more, you say, maybe the merit part is where like you have more success. One way to indicate this, right? Whatever you do, that now you're able to have more success, or you, your mind is becoming sort of, how should I say, more positive, right? That's how we gauge it. Okay, yeah.
Isn't it true that there are two types of ignorance? You know, not just the ignorance of this, ignorance of not understanding, you know, the ultimate nature of reality, but also just ignorant of other things. In the Buddhist context, is it true that there are two types of ignorance?
Yeah, we talk about ignorance of law of karma and law of karmic action and result, and then emptiness. Is that what you're thinking about? Or you're thinking about some other ignorance? And we have all kinds of ignorance, but that's the two one Buddhists talk about.
I don't know. I think I read somewhere that in the two lower schools, there's a different type of ignorance than the two higher schools, you know?
Oh, okay.
Is it true?
Okay, I will end with that, ask him, and then hopefully Geshe, actually Geshe is very short in the answers. I don't worry about that one. But Korang this secure again. Then the Mari Basawarwage, Mari Balaya and Nangbe Shun and Nishigio Marabesa Rawage, the Kasawada, Nilu Madobagirwage, Mari Bachida, and Mari Bashambaja Yomarabesa. Nig Lendel Miba Maribala Royanko did Remidu Dimembe. Tubda Shedi Gal Tubda Wangman Shebe Mariba Mandani, the Kangman Shebe Mariba Mandani, your rest of that correct order again. On this.
Don't you try don't you try your night? You try your night, Mariba to try your
That the Kasota Nilu to be Mariba.
That new Rakal was in the tar, Mariba bomb.
The dim membegi Kasata Nilu Manzabe Mariba Shambashe Yamada to the woman the wall. Lendel me Mariba Manda Shaker Marga, Lendel me Mariba Manda Shaker Sugar.
Mariba was in the top of the Gangal Mashi Shire or that, Mariba Gagal Yorda.
No. In a
was a Michiva Shanj, Mariba Zero.
In a Nambu Yonga.
Diamond, don't you imagine myself, shall you say my is a Michi to the Mambo Younger Mother, Mariba. In a Nambu Yonga share the dick, Lendel me Mariba that the Casoda. That Mario told of Hero, Dangzi Mariba, the lady Mariba said, Ganzu Penu didn't shoot shot, Hero. Just not the shame I get not your money. Okay, so that's as I have to some discussion bring Geshe to the focus. As I said, Geshe said there's all kind of ignorance, you know, we just can't talk about two. But I said there's something too we talk about ignorance in the text. Because Geshe, well, there's ignorance about bodhicitta, there's ignorance about emptiness, there's all kinds of ignorance, there's no end to that. But I said, yeah, prominently, like the two classic ignorance, if you can say, that's not his word, classic, my translation, is ignorance pertaining to the way things actually exist, right? And ignorance pertaining to the law of karmic action result. Those are the two prime, otherwise we have tons of all other kinds of ignorance. But in the Buddhist schools of thought, what you're asking is, with regard to the ultimate reality, different schools of thought have different explanations. So sometimes they get the coarse level of the reality, not a subtle one. So that's that difference of ignorance level, if you want to talk about that, right? Okay. So maybe we'll continue that next week. Is that okay? If you have
just real quickly. So if one lessens their anger, is that an example of coming from one's accumulation of merit or wisdom? If one is able to lessen anger, is that coming from the accumulation of their merit or accumulation of their wisdom?
Oh, the less anger, you mean? Is that the result of the merit or the wisdom? Is that what you're saying? Okay. Okay. So if you don't mind, I'll get that answer. We'll stop there today. Okay. I'm also a timekeeper. I'm able to Geshe, stay focused, right? I better need to retire soon. I told you from last year onward, nobody listening until I die. This is again, Pena Taki Koran Tiwa Tangbudi, the Chongni says your wage. Sonam saw that you should saw Savi, not that Kondo Yung Dredge your wage. Kondo Yung Dredge, you should saw Jebeki Chigore, Sonam saw Jebeki Chigoresa. Kondo Yung side.
콘도 좀 줘야 돼.
다 콘도 뉴를 서와 냐마 콘도 헤메 상해체 다 콘도 뉴를 차샤나 콘도 뉴를 써야 돼 이시 속 디브레 선음 속 디브레 디 카르레스보다
아니 근데 다
니가 인쇼로게
그래서 돈이 더 별로 신경 쓰면도 해다 선우서 여기 이제 네가 해야 돼. 네가 해야 돼.
지금마다게 콘도 뉴를 주고 와게 콘도 뉴를 줘야 되기 주디 선왕 소제베게 이시 소제베게 체레서 올다
아니
그렇게
근데 다 숨지르 그게 다 콘도 용라도 거기 저저지 좀 뭐서 저기 뭐 저기 말아. 그래서 거기 용 줘야 라야 소소 뭐셔야 돼. 소노 소사도 고카사리 허용시 용도시 거야 지르고 뭐서 저저지고 거야 지도도 저도 말아.
So the short answer is both, because anger doesn't arise from one particular cause. There are many causes, right? So both, right, helps to get less angry, or whatever way you want to put it. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll show you where we keep the toilet paper. Yeah.
I'll show you where we keep the toilet paper.
Yeah.
You're ignorant of where it is.
So we have prayer request.
Thringtung naru shungel ya. Sedan demba gel taska sarba. Gel shungendi giru chuzo giru nasiga ngoshin barisha. Ane kon kazaki mengan ya kego chungsha. Ane chichina nishi dugarshi ikembe jenedandi 암지속 야보츠 마티지 간지 따지시는 최신바 인사를 공유체도 특매다. 그랬더니 전 ছে는데 뭐 전당 죄당 주시당 아니 레슬리 윈 크라운즈 파즈 빈자르 나니시니 크라운즈 나리아 샤브데 직친사브레 아니 부숨도 부디 직 차월람노 요야다 대단 돌이야 어디나로 쉐티다 나니디 아야 잡루시 쉐브르 공기체도 그런저 뒤준 이 샤드니 주루시 아니 투면나로 슈팅에 찬시 그런저 남미시어르 그런저 카즈키니 안제 이 투면나로 나스니 투스 신디피가 레송 그런저 슈드 때다다 자올람론야 다어 강에 파지세야 돌이야 투면나로 나스쉐다 아드니 추조기루 암버리나 그게 망쳐서 다와 검리 연구를 아니 삼삼대 오늘 구쇼솔이야 신데다 아니 직사에 통해 이렇게 포지션 신데게 연구를 콘카즈키니 this 나중사 가지 니시승다 용에 준도 통면나로나스 prayer requests today are requested for a number of individuals that are still with us. Prayer request for Gail Taska, who is a close friend of Nasika's. She was recently hospitalized and might be experiencing a terminal illness. So please keep Gail in your thoughts and prayers. Prayers and dedications are also requested for Trent Tung, Trey Tung, Trish Tung, and Leslie Nguyen. These individuals are a family who regularly request good luck and blessings and good fortune in their work and their well-being. So please keep Leslie, Trent, Trey, and Trish in your prayers and dedications. And then prayers also requested for Ambarina, who is a student of TDL, and she was recently, or she is recovering from a recent illness. So please keep Ambarina in your thoughts and prayers as well. Along with the names I just read, Please keep all sentient beings in your prayers and dedications. May they be free from all obstacles, hardship, and negative karma. May their wishes and prayers be fulfilled. May they be guided by the blessings of the three jewels, and may they experience everlasting peace and happiness.
So we will do the medicine Buddha salutation and mantra for all of them and others. Toje Gunla Nyombe Jomden de Zenzang Tebe Ngendu Donges Dozon Neze Sangye Menge La Bindu Chanze Lo Om Namo Bhagavate Begaje Gurum Benduya Tavaranzaya Tadagadaya Arahade Samya Sambudaya Teyata Om Begaze Man Begaze Ranza Samugade So Teyata Om Begaze Man Begaze. Deda Beganze, Man Beganze, Ranza Samunga de So Han, Gawa de Nyodo da Membe Gavon, Lobjo, Lova Jija Maleva, de Sala Gabara Show, Pish of Booklet. Lord Jazu, Vidon Bega de Gasan Bombe, Judo, members. Denban Zinla, Wando Gishobe, Daniel Chogun Jor, Sovan de page 5, Mawan Dame, Gunjan Dongan de Gari Jonso, Nienda Senza, Jamgan Yawa, Neva Yapse, Tanson Tenzi, Mabe, Shiba, Tenzin Chebe, Yingwon Zebe, Sheje, Nikun Changju, Dendu. Longdo Tamje, Bebe, Beyunje, Deza Yazu, Gundo, Shabde, Tesan, Wanda, Jezu, Zombe, Yongzo, Yure, Dobe, Nyagi, Longri, Dojin, Nabu, Bedemba, Tudin, Kari, Dabo, Shabde, Dona, Kongmen, Zaba, Namda, Dendan, Dobe, Pende, Jube, Lundo, Jume, Chebe, Tindeje, Kesan, Dij. Chizu Lame Tuje Melanda Gesan Denden Chozun Dudo Jidon Domba Ye Jida Memben Lungu Lundo Sho page 9 Raja Jenge Gombo Zeba Me Zodo Namje Geyun Doma Sho Chozo Zeye Lazo Tamje Dade Mishe Choge Mudu Tuden Jedan Losan Jawa Ye Shiro Tenban Zembe Beye Tade Duje Yongwe Xinye Jo Yangde Ninje Ongbo Shab Jiden Songwe Chana Beme Do Denbe Zawa Soso Tawa Namda Sudi Yangda Langba Ye Losan Jenden Bedo Tejo Yazen Nonzen Yangbe She Samjo Namje Changzen Jombe Gongjo Shela Songjo Debe Denbe Ngada Chenbo Shabden Sho Chebe Longa Gowa Bojo Zhenbe Rilan Siyu Bongda Zhe Zhenbe Dunden Leshe Dang Keju Xinyin Chenbo Shabden Sho Kenbe Langdo Gushe Zeta Zhe Zhenbe Chara Niezo Ras Sangbe Dije Legun Yishe No Sumden Xinyin Chenbo Shabden Tesan Dola Zhombe Dende Je Menjong Tangje Sangme Sije Labjin Zedin Dende Beshaba Tuten Shabden Sho Chozon Yawa Seje Chenla Da Tuten Tamjen Songmen Tenle Daja Lasan Dabe Denbe Jida Membe Dungu Lundo Sho Changju Simjo Rinpo Je Maje Bana Ji Jewa Nyamba Meba Yang Gone Gon Pewa Sho Dongni Dawa Rinpo Je Maje Bana Ji Jewa Nyamba Meba Pewa sho sa shi beji joshi me do dang re ra ling shi nian de yan ba de sang ye xin do me de we wa lu wen nang da xin la zhe ba shou kan re ra be guo re xin gang so pen dang de wa ma lu zhong jian re se wa tenzin gyatso ye xia be si de ba Ten jo chi idang guru rana mandela niyanda ya min gyawa kundu yangda lama dan deme chegi bela longji sada lamye yunde razo loji changi goba nyurdu